real money is going to be in the conversations.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Today I'm in the beautiful sunny state of Florida here with George Stoitzev, one of my very, very great friends, and we're going to be going over kind of some of his amazing accomplishments. You know, he's went from 0 to 10 million in sales in e-commerce, and now he's completely blown that out of the water with a beautiful new software called BlueReciept. So with that being said, guys, this is George, going to give you a little bit of a background on himself, and I'm super excited to have him here today in his beautiful home.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Kyle has been helping me kind of get my YouTube set up and put myself in a position where I could finally, build up my personal brand. Each person is itself a product, and I've been kind of neglecting that over the years. I've focused more on building businesses and kind of being in the shadows, as many of you are. But going into 2021 and beyond, everyone is going to be a personal brand, whether you like it or not. And so, putting myself in that position is really important.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you completely. And I think, you didn't want to necessarily do it not because you were lazy or unmotivated. It was more so like, you wanted to focus your efforts on what you're best at, and, you knew what you needed to do to get to the next level of, your goals with BlueReciept.
Yeah, and a little bit like not wanting to showcase something digitally that's there forever on something you don't feel comfortable on. And getting comfortable with putting yourself out there and representing something that you stand for, something that is always going to be looked back upon, right? I mean, the first thing that people do when they know someone is search them on Google, like who is this person?
Yeah.
Does he have what's his YouTube? What's his Facebook? What's his Instagram? And so I didn't want to put out things until I felt comfortable, like this is what I stand for, this is what I'm working towards, and this is what I want to showcase to people.
Yeah.
And I feel like with BlueReciept, it's something that I can really stand for, right? The mission being establishing genuine conversations at scale for e-commerce and entrepreneurs. And what that means is, as we look in the market, OnlyFans, TikTok, these courses, webinars, everyone is becoming their own digital product and putting people in a position where they have better and better tools to do these things in a faster way is kind of my main motivation. I've done the physical product space with e-commerce, but now transitioning it to where everyone has this ability to really quickly get started and sell a product online. Mm-hmm. OnlyFans has been like kind of democratized this ability of like, well, I'm just a person and this is who I am and this is my lifestyle and maybe sexy photos or something like that. Yeah. But now each person has the ability to attract their little community in a way never done before.
Yeah.
And how do we build those tools to give everyone the chance to sustain themselves by just establishing a small little community to exchange value with? Like, you don't need that many people to make $5,000 to $10,000 a month and live any kind of lifestyle that you necessarily want to live. And so these tools are going to be very important, and being at the forefront of understanding how they're being built and establishing the skill set to do those instead of just being a kind of a pawn making money in the system. This is the kind of transition point that I wanted to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's really important. And even with not building your personal brand right away, I mean, you've obviously posted and people know you very well in the whole ecosystem of e-commerce and marketing and everything. But I think the big thing with you was, even though you built the product, a year or 2 years ago, you wanted to make it perfect before you drove any traffic to it. And what was that? A lot of the stuff coming back from your e-commerce background, you're very heavily focused on product. Like, your product was fantastic before, but you always worked on how can I make this the best, like simply the best. There's no comparison, there's no nothing.
I mean, it's a catch-22, because on one hand you're investing all this upfront energy to produce something quote unquote innovative or something that you feel is really well done, but in doing so you're also spending a lot of time, money, and effort to validate your idea. Mm-hmm. For anyone to get started, I didn't start off this way. My first thing was like, what can I spend no money on and quickly validate? How fast can I validate? Does the market want this? Does my demographic want this? And drop shipping and selling, an established product already is one of the best ways to do it. Print on demand, where you only have to produce the digital kind of image to put on a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a banner, or anything like that, is another great way. And all you have to do is you have a piece of content that you can create quickly, a method of distribution, Facebook, Instagram, and these social media platforms where you can, do paid advertising and validate the idea as fast as possible. Over the years, as I've gotten, more capital, I could make bigger bets. Now, bigger bets come with more risk and more reward. And so in this position, I didn't really start a software company before. I didn't know all the technical, abilities it takes to, one, hire the right team to not only just produce the initial product, but sustain it for the course of its life. You can imagine that, sure, you could produce a product that people like, but what if you can't sustain that? What if you get people on board to any software you have or any product you have, and then you're not able to innovate? You don't have the back-end structure, the team to get it to the next level. You run into a lot of problems. So with these big bets, I say, I'm going to spend this amount a year and this amount, more than 6 figures to establish this foundation that hopefully the rest can take care of itself, right? The market validation is there because I'm making a bet that I know good enough what's going to happen in the market, with the pricing model and everything like that, but it's still a risk, as with anything. I mean, and the longer you wait to validate an idea, the more you start validating in your head and not knowing if the market really wants this. And I mean, a great example is like Quibi.
Yeah, for sure.
They raised $2 billion before they had any kind of market validation. And now maybe they could do that because they had a previous track record and they said, well, if we want to take on Netflix, this is what we have to do.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't need to take such big risks to prove the penetration point.
For sure.
They try to penetrate the market like this, but the market wasn't there for these like high-end, YouTube style videos.
Yeah.
Why would a person pay X amount of money for YouTube style videos when they can go on YouTube for free?
Yeah.
The market wasn't there. That really low hanging fruit was not there. For $15 on Netflix, you get extraordinary amount of value that's not on YouTube. There's no 2-hour movie on YouTube. Come on.
Yeah.
But when that middle ground area, I don't think they thought too well on. And it's those risks that are difficult when you're taking big bets.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good insight because it really shows, the things and lessons you've learned from other, huge companies and deciding whether or not it was worth scaling, et cetera. And, there's a good and a bad to something like drop shipping or print on demand because you get the ability, like you said, to test, but then again, ultimate scale, you're testing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're nurturing the customer. And your goal now is long-term success because you want sustained growth for multiple reasons. Yeah. So in order to do that, you have to have that ultra delayed gratification muscle. If you look at some of the back end of his stuff, you built out a whole design library for literally every single piece.
Yeah.
So you're going to be very adaptable when it does come time. So every person who does come in, they have a great first impression because if you launched it 2 years ago and somebody's like, it's not perfectly polished yet, they're not going to come visit you because first impressions are everything, which you know, and I think other people get wrong in the e-commerce space. They just want the dollar up front, but they're not willing to provide the value on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, for the vast majority of people, I'd suggest kind of like trying to validate, like I mentioned, validate ideas quickly.
Yeah. Have
a product that's good enough to sell, good enough to get the ball rolling, because you can't expect to understand, know how to do all these additional things off the bat. But those things that are easy in the beginning normally get kind of saturated quickly. Like if a product is working, if a trending product is working really well, the market's going to find that.
Yeah.
People are going to look at your ads. People are going to look at your website. People are going to look at your product. People are going to find your product, and then those things can get, demolished rather quickly. And so then you're always in the position where you're rabbit chasing. You're chasing another thing over and over again. But then the worst part is where you're chasing you had a success from this one rabbit, but then you're afraid to let it go, and it no longer works anymore. And so you have to let, if you're in that position where you're kind of getting the ball rolling on your success, don't be afraid to quit and move to different things. But also, when you find something that's really working with a good foundation, it takes a long time to compound the growth.
Yeah, no, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's one of those things, barriers to entry, right? Mm-hmm. Software has a very high barrier to entry. and selling a product or what have you necessarily doesn't, but
Yep.
it's one of those things. I mean, you're big on getting to the next level and being kind of a pioneer. So I think it's definitely something that people are going to slowly get into. But I think it's interesting what you were talking about yesterday with getting too high of evaluations and not being able to back it up, right?
Yep.
Companies try and raise a bunch of money, but they're able to get in the place where they can actually back that up with sales and long-term year-over-year growth.
Yep. I mean, money's not going to be able to solve all your problems. Money cannot solve producing an innovative product.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds kind of like, you would think like, why can't we solve world hunger? Why can't we solve these things? We have enough money.
Yeah.
Money is actually not the problem. It's the allocation of that money to specific people to orchestrate it together by an entrepreneur who can create some new innovative idea. So just throwing money, like if a product is not working and you're like, oh, if I had just had $2 million, I can make this work.
Yeah.
Normally, it's not the case.
Yeah.
Normally, you have to have the seed of it working to be able to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's no seed in the ground, you can't just pour like water. Like water is the analogy for money. You can't just pour water on it and expect something to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to have something, and it has to. You can make the bud, bloom with very little amount of water.
Yeah.
And then when it's ready, then you can accelerate the growth. You can only accelerate growth with gas or water. But that's why it takes a long time to be like, okay, I think we have the seed. It's kind of blooming. Now you can raise money to accelerate the growth. And there's no substitute for, product market fit.
Yeah.
Right. No amount of money is going to sustain long-term success without a great initial product.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, speaking of product, I think we should touch on what BlueReciept is and what your plans are moving forward with the software in general, what stemmed the passion behind it, and then what's stemming the passion moving forward and beyond.
Yeah, well, email marketing for the last even 10 years has been the most powerful owned conversation channel. It's something outside the realm of the big social giants, right? So it's not as heavily influenced on algorithms or being able to reach your whole audience. You're able to reach your whole audience and you own this audience, and now you have to provide them value in this channel. And so this owned conversation, this owned, marketing ability was the most popular and still quite frankly is. But as we've progressed and kind of SMS and messaging technology has gotten better, we're transitioning where people want to have more owned conversations. And text message marketing, especially in the United States and WhatsApp internationally, is going to be the new owned messaging channels, where if you could do these things correctly, your company could be very, very valuable.
Yeah.
One of the leading competitors in this space is called Attentive Mobile, SMS Bump, and Postscript. And all these platforms, had this idea of, we're going to do a similar concept to MailChimp and Klaviyo, which just for email marketing, but we're going to do that for text messaging. Mm-hmm. So the same ideas of automations and campaigns, and these were taken to text message marketing and Facebook messaging and Instagram messaging. And so my long-term goal was, well, if we can accomplish this marketing automation and we can combine it with the help desk, we can make a new way of conducting business online. A shift from everyone making a sale on the website to a place where most of the sales happen in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think this has already been shown to be the case.
Yeah.
And it's just going to grow over time. Why do I know this is going to be the case? Well, we look at a graph and we say, we look at stores with email marketing and SMS, more and more of their revenue is being generated from those sources. Mm-hmm. As soon as they integrate these sources, 20 to 30% of their revenue comes from these sources first.
Yeah.
And then they buy something on the website. If you look at enterprise software, okay, you go on the website, but then you have to have a call with someone to make a sale, right? You have to have a conversation. When you look at people doing a personal brand, they normally do sign up for your email, get some value, sign up for a call, and then buy the product. If you look at OnlyFans, 50-60% of the revenue is coming from where? It's coming from tips, messaging, DMs, and personal photos.
Yeah.
People want that personal connection. It's not enough to just say, I have some content. Well, that content is free. It's on YouTube. I have a product. Well, most of those products are on Amazon.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate yourself? You have to have a personalized approach. And where I think we differentiate ourselves from these other platforms is they're not focused on the conversation. They say, we're going to do your automation tools for you. But then if you want to do your help desk, you go to Freshdesk, you go to Zendesk, you use Gorgeous, you use something else. And it's two different things. It's like they're two separate worlds. But in my opinion, customer service is the same thing as marketing, right? If you're able to reach 100,000 people with marketing efforts, marketing is normally one way.
Yeah.
It's push, push, push. But I'm saying no. We're gonna close the gap between push and pull. When they message us back, we're able to have a conversation with them and sell them directly in the chat.
Yeah.
Be proactive instead of reactive. One of the help desk is normally right now only used for problems. If you look at the top 10 reasons why people use help desk, it's where's my tracking number?
Yeah.
Can I get a refund? Something's wrong with the product. It's all issues, problems.
Yeah.
It's all problems. None of them are using it in a proactive manner to, one, build relationships, establish a relationship with the person, establish trust, sell inside the conversation, whether that be sending them a link for a checkout, whether that be getting them on a phone call to close them inside the phone call, or curating them with automations in the conversation with keyword tags and certain action tags to build out relationships with 100,000 people.
Oh, 100%. It's like, how can you have that conversation at scale and building the algorithms and back-end know-how to, funnel through customers to where they can have that one-on-one experience. I mean, essentially what you just said, but just kind of cultivating in a way that is relatively understandable to people who aren't in e-commerce. Like the most important thing, like with anything, the only thing that's missing in e-commerce is really the conversation. Like you go into a department store or any store really, you kind of like asking for help, and when you ask for help, that person might be able to upsell you on something or lead you in a direction where you'll buy something else, whether you're at Target or Nordstrom or wherever it may be. So as things completely transfer over to e-commerce, I think this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle, and George is really perfecting that before anyone has a bad taste in their mouth, like robotic chatbots and stuff like that, what people have seen before. That's why it takes so long to develop something like this, because it's so innovative, it's so different, but it really gives everyone the ability to essentially talk with every single customer they have, which is going to increase average order value, going to increase customer retention, and it's going to increase customer satisfaction, which if you're advertising on Facebook is huge, because nowadays you have feedback scores and all that good stuff, which if it dips below a 2, essentially just a bad feedback rating, you're not going to be able to advertise, or your CPMs, your cost per 1,000 views, whatever, is going to go through the roof, which is going to be less profit out of your company's pocket.
If we look the last 10 years, the last 10 years was, how do you make money online? Well, you make a website, okay? And a website is almost like a monologue. You put, here is my offer, here is the images, and you're essentially selling. You're a salesman, you're a static salesman. Okay? And you're just giving these one-off things to. So now you can service 100,000 people, 1 million people a month on autopilot. You create it once and it sells itself. It's a one-way form of communication, and how they're interacting with that is they're reading it, they're absorbing it, they're making their own decisions on it, and then whenever they have any kind of questions, they'll try to find the answer themselves and then make a purchase if they feel, this is the product they want to solve their issue. Now, what I'm saying in the next 10 years is the website will still be important, but it'll be like a brochure. So when you if you look at the previous 20 years, if a store was selling you, they'd send you a brochure. You wouldn't buy it in the brochure, right? It's not like I get a brochure and I can just click it and I can purchase it, right? No, the brochure was a way for me to go to the store to have a conversation with the store to exchange value.
Exactly.
When I go inside Walmart, I have a conversation with Walmart. I'm reading the situation. Where's the thing I want? Here's the thing I want. What product should I buy? I'm buying this one. I make the purchase there. But I didn't make the purchase in the brochure, did I?
Yeah, exactly.
No. The future is I'm not going to make the purchase on the brochure. I'm not going to make my purchase on the website as my primary way. I'm going to make my purchase through some form of communication first. And then I'm going to use the brochure is going to like entice me, right? You're going to see the website and they're like, oh, okay, it's like how I get a brochure in the mail. Oh, okay. Oh, there's a sale going on. Okay, I'm gonna go. Then you have normally a conversation, and then you make the sale.
Yeah.
But how can, if you have 100,000 visitors to your store, how can we close more of those deals?
Exactly.
A simple brochure is not going to cut it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be competitive to market. If you're closing at 1.5% and someone using all these tactics is closing at 4 to 5%, there's no way you're going to be able to compete against them.
Yeah.
With rising CPM costs, and already you're not making money in the front end.
Yeah.
Already most brands are not making money in the front end. So now it's gonna when this market is getting more competitive, and now these front end people are making 2 times as much, and you couldn't even make it. You couldn't even make your money in the front end now, and now you're like, oh shit, I'm losing $30 now on the front end to make a sale. You're gonna need these tools. They're gonna become absolutely essential. Whoever doesn't have these tools cannot compete.
Oh, of course. Because what are you going to do? You spend more money on marketing, and make you go, completely in the red on all of your, efforts, and that's obviously not sustainable at all. It implodes the business. So it's one of those things where it's a super cost-effective way of, and if you compare the two, versus more Facebook ads, more Instagram ads, the person who's running the conversation will convert, like you said, 4 or 5%, if not more, overall, and they're going to create a better customer experience, which is just this whirlwind of amazing,
And people are going to expect that. So if you have 2 of the same product being marketed to you, you go on one website and you're like, well, what happens if I want to have a refund? Email us, and then that's how you get a refund or something. The other website, you go on there and you have a VIP rep.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you have any questions, you come to me. If you have a refund, well, everything is handled through me. You can even text me. You have my phone number. You have a direct line to me. If they're the same, all things equal, you're going to pick this solution, and people are going to then, when this gets hold, it's going to be the expected thing. And when it becomes the expected thing, you have to do it. It does not work if you don't do it.
It's like Amazon Prime, right? Everyone expects 1 or 2 day shipping now. They didn't expect it 5 years ago.
No.
But now it's like, if Target doesn't do it, if Walmart doesn't do it, if brands don't do it, it's like, I don't want to wait 5 to 7 days. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. He bridged a gap, and now this is bridging that gap of conversations in retail and e-commerce, Yeah,
and right now we look at the landscape, and on Shopify, people who have their own stores, what are the most sustainable brands? The most sustainable brands typically tend to be clothing. The reason is there's a lot of SKUs, and branding on clothing means a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So the name means more than anything on the clothing than an electronic product.
For sure.
All things being equal, because instead of like Apple or Samsung, but all things being equal, for many trending products, they're virtually the same. There's no differentiation. So typically when you walk into a Gucci store, you don't just walk in and it looks like H&M.
Yeah.
Typically you have a person greeting you. They give you a champagne.
Yeah.
They say, I'm your style consultant. Anything you need? Oh, you look like a 42. Okay, you're probably 34 waist. Okay. They'll bring you examples. They'll say, you're going to look great in this. You're going to look great in this. You're going to look great in this. Come and try it out. You're going to set your wine. You're going to set your champagne down. You're going to go try it out. And then when you're ready, they already have your credit card on file, and they're like, you're free to go.
Yeah. It's a curated experience.
That's the experience. Yeah. And so every company has to go this model.
Yeah.
And the model online is, you come inside and you have a VIP consultant. Okay? And when you kind of like go through and make your first purchase, we'll start knowing more and more about you.
Yeah.
Next time, we're going to be more proactive. Instead of being like, I'll give you an example of what Fashion Nova right now is doing. So Fashion Nova, they subscribe you on SMS, but what do? 20% off, 10% off, 20% off, 10% off every day. Is this sustainable? Subscribe to people's text messages. That's not sustainable.
Yeah.
This model will not. It's spam.
Yeah.
It's literally spam. But what's not spam is, hey, my name is Jennifer. I'm your style consultant.
Yep.
I know you're a size small. Here are we just launched our new line. Here is everything that you're going to look great in.
Yep.
When they click on that particular link for you, it's going to say on the top of the website, hey Jennifer, here's the clothes I've curated for you.
Exactly.
Already set on size small.
Yep.
And given a package deal for all of them, or if you buy 3 or more, you get an extra discount.
Of course.
Those things. Does that not sound like a better experience than get 20% off and you just go back to the same website over and over again, and there's no two-way communication?
Yeah.
If you respond back to them, no one gets back to you.
No.
It's 100% spam, and it just won't continue. or it will continue until it gets fizzled out for the next thing. But I'm already trying to plan out for the next thing, which is that model. And now you might be like, well, how do you really make that work at scale?
Yeah.
How do you make it work at scale is you need to have great data and automation. So, someone gets assigned to a specific person. This person, we know about them. We know what they ordered, size small. We know their location. We know how fast we're going to be able to deliver to them. And we know here are the 20 SKUs that we just launched this next month. And then here's all the ones in size small. And then we have like a curated approach based on recommendation.
Yeah.
Right. So we know, same way that Amazon does it. Oh, we know that people who ordered this product tend to order these additional products.
Exactly.
But this girl didn't order those additional things.
Yeah.
Well, instead of just trying to sell them on the website, the VIP rep can follow up with her after she receives her clothing and saying, hey, we know you love that. You know, these 5 things are recommended items for people who loved your piece of clothing.
Yeah. Based on other
Come
data.
and check them out.
Exactly.
By the way, you have 20, this is 24 hours. I just give you a 24-hour discount right because you received your shipment.
Of course.
That model is going to take hold in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And so we if you look at the graphs, we know this is going to happen. So Tesla was started 15 years ago, and only in the last year did it blow up, went up 10x. Why did that happen? Well, Elon 15 years ago saw a couple graphs. He saw, well, the cost of battery is going down. The efficiency of battery is going up. And then also looking at it from first principles, a gasoline car, the efficiency of taking a gallon of gas and converting it into kinetic energy was flatlining.
Yeah.
So it wasn't above 25 to 30%.
Yeah.
That means every time you take a gallon of gas, if you combust it, we can only take 30% of that potential energy and convert it to kinetic energy to move you forward.
Wow.
Okay? And there was no way to retain that energy too, unless you had a hybrid model, where, okay, we're taking this energy, we're pushing you forward, but then when you brake, we're gonna squeeze this into the hybrid battery packs.
Yeah.
The Prius model. Well, Elon said, well, wait a second. Right now, the efficiency of a battery to kinetic energy was 70, 80%. So it was already higher. And you look at these two graphs with battery costs going down, efficiency going up, you're like, it's only a matter of time this is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Whether he did it or not, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not like he invented physics and economics.
Yeah.
These things were going to happen, but how fast can he accelerate that in terms of when it was going to happen without any additional intervention, without like the natural cycle of things? So that's how he thinks about things, and that's how I'm trying to think about things, because if you start building it earlier than anyone and you have a long-term vision in mind, but also a short-term vision. You see, when he started, he didn't say, I'm going to make a universal electric car for everyone. No, he said, the first thing we're going to build is a super specialized, high production Tesla Roadster.
Yeah.
A low production, highly expensive car. This is going to subsidize the next version.
Yeah.
The mid-range, the SUV, where it's a little bit more broad, still a higher price point, but less volume production. When the battery technology gets good enough, when our manufacturing gets good enough, then we'll bring out the Model 3, the Model S.
Yeah.
And so he planned this out 15 years ago. If you look at his game plan,
that's crazy.
He hit all his game plan.
Yeah.
These were going to happen, and now he just had to execute upon this vision. And so I know what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years is websites are just going to be the brochure. Curated, personalized experience are going to be at the forefront, and everyone is going to expect a personalized relationship with the brands they're buying.
Yep.
And if you're going to compete against Amazon on physical products, you have to do this. If you're going to compete on digital products against other YouTubers who are selling it for free, you're going to have to do something to get them to have a personalized experience.
Yeah.
Their questions are being answered. So now YouTube becomes the brochure,
exactly.
right? Because I see the information, but I don't know how to use it. I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Because I need to figure out how to use it.
Exactly.
And that's where the value comes in. So the websites will be the brochures, the YouTube videos will be the brochures.
Yeah.
The real money is going to be in the conversations and making it personalized for each user to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish.
For sure.
And I think that going in this direction, it's going to happen, and so if we can execute it the best, I think we'll be in a great position.
Yeah, I agree with you 110%. I think your model is all about, like I always talk about delayed gratification, but it's like an upfront value. Like, of course, Gucci has to pay the money for the champagne bottles, and they have to pay an employee to do all those things, and Walmart maybe doesn't, right? But when you go in there, they're kind of putting their money on the table, like, hey, I'm hedging my bet. I'm saying, hey, in the aggregate, if I do this, I'm probably going to get this return at the end, right? So by putting a little bit of extra emphasis up front on the customer and their happiness, you're kind of playing the bet to say, hey, I know what this is capable of doing. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm scared to do that. I'm scared to invest too much money.
Well, they don't have enough data to make those decisions.
Exactly.
So when if you have good data and you have a good amount of money to spend on the upfront, you end up winning. And this is why the biggest companies win, because they can make decisions like, oh, we know that in 3 years, this is what's going to happen with our average customer, and this is what's going to happen with our lifetime value, this is what's going to happen with our payback period. They have this number, and so if people end up doing predictable actions, which they more often than not with the confidence interval, you can start making those predictions. You can say, oh, well, I can afford to give everyone who does a free trial with us, who seems like a good client, a $200 bottle of Dom Perignon.
Exactly.
I can afford to give this person a 30-day free trial. I can afford to give this person, XYZ. I'm hedging my bet that in X amount of time I'm going to get paid back. And with good enough data, you can go to these investors and you can say, well, if we have $100 million and all these things get done in this way, you'll 3-4x your money with predictable results. The more predictable your results are, the better chance you have of getting funding, getting to the next level, and essentially, dominating your market.
Yeah.
Whoever can't do that simply can't compete, because if another guy has a better offering, he's giving you more free stuff, he's giving you better customer service, he's doing everything better.
Yeah.
Why would you go to that person just because you feel bad? There's no
sympathy in business either, right?
No.
When a business is failing, like we've seen multiple businesses fail, you don't feel bad for Blockbuster because Netflix made it easier for people to watch and more convenient, right? Whatever it may be, right? That's just the easy analogy, but it's just one of those things that you're going to either eat or be eaten, and this is one of those things moving forward where Facebook marketing was huge for a little bit, still is obviously, but like you said, when it becomes too easy to do something, that's what's going to happen, and there might be a time in 10 years where everyone's using BlueReceipt, and then there's another evolution of BlueReceipt into continually, I know there will be, but we already know it's going to be the future. So it's like, that's why you, as kind of the quarterback of the team, needs to continually innovate. It's not like you're just going to build it once and stop. That's like, you got to keep building and building and building, but based around the customer, because we're really noticing that, hey, if we can, Amazon took a different approach, right? They took the quickest and easiest, but they have no customer, they have customer satisfaction with refunds, but there's no communication. So this is kind of the alternate in sales of that.
Yeah, by the way, Amazon's getting better at that too.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, yeah, because they have the funding to do it.
They're getting better at everything.
Yeah.
So you really need to, but then it also depends on how good your models are, because you can have all these models, but then there are things that maybe they didn't think about, like, for example, like everyone right now in my space is charging by SMS rates. And so why they're charging by SMS rates is because, well, we're banking on the fact that people send blasts over and over again. But that's a commodity.
Yeah.
Because then if I say, okay, can I send a blast with BlueReceipt? Can I send a blast? Like, if all you said was, why am I picking a phone? I'm picking a phone based on like my text message rates, and the only thing these two phones have, the only reason why a person uses an iPhone or another phone is just for text messaging.
Yeah.
And and the only question they're asking is like, how much do you charge per text message?
Yeah.
That doesn't tell the whole story, and their only business model is that. And I think that, sure, we'll see a growth of like more and more people texting overall because you have more customers, but the rate at which it's growing is not what I think they're predicting. Yeah. I already know that this is getting saturated at a much faster rate than people anticipate. Texting spam is much different than like email spam. Like email spam has like more barriers to stop it, more barriers to go click on underneath, all unsubscribe. On text, you just click stop. You just send stop. And once you feel comfortable doing that, once you've done it once, you get a time to do it very quickly. Every time someone messages you, stop. And I think the unsubscribe rates are going to go through the roof this next year and a half to 2 years. And I think the business model of just charging by SMS rates is not going to be sustainable for the valuations people are getting and the rate in which they're charging, because they're not making a lot of margin on those. And then when the growth stales on those, when the unsubscribe rates grow, I think you need a different business model. You need a business model where you're closing the gap between the marketing automation tools and Shopify.
Yeah.
Shopify's main value prop was like where they make all their money right now is the payments.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at over the last 8 to 10 years, 70 to 80% of their revenue is coming in from payments now.
Mm-hmm.
And subscriptions and the money they get from partners is just like gravy.
Yeah.
But the bulk of it is revenue from payments. So closing the gap on the marketing automation where you're making the full sale too is where it's at. And I actually can't believe that MailChimp and Klaviyo haven't closed the gap in so long. I don't know why not. I don't know why instead of having a newsletter, they could send the newsletter and then they could do the builder on the website too. Mm-hmm. So like when they built the newsletter, why not host it on a website and connect payments? I never understood why they didn't actually. I actually do know why. The tooling wasn't good enough to do it at scale. Yeah. Where it made sense maybe. But it's these things are becoming better and better. The tooling for this is getting better and better. And newsletters, you'll have pictures or images or GIFs on email and conversations that'll click to a personalized website. Mm-hmm. Each website will be personalized. I'm guaranteeing this. Yeah. I'm guaranteeing this. Because it's getting easier and easier to do these things. Yeah. It's getting easier and easier to make a new website for Jennifer. She's a size small. She wants these things on it. Mm-hmm. Like you have a standardized page and you can just edit a couple attributes on it based on tags on a specific individual. Exactly. These things are going to happen. Yep. They're going. You do them in your newsletter. Yeah. Don't you? Yeah. You do them in your newsletter. You got to do it on your website. Yep. It's just a matter of time. And connecting in the payment gateway. By the way, no one can beat Stripe on the payment. Yeah. So everyone's going to use that as a commodity. Mm-hmm. And so I look at Twilio the same way for SMS. SMS is becoming a commodity, and there's no way you're going to build out your own infrastructure for SMS and this stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't seem. If you're going that commodity route, the Amazon, Walmart route, you need to give everyone this ability. Normally, like a kind of a developer approach or an entrepreneur approach, instead of a consumer approach. Yeah. No, I'm with you 110%. I think, it's crazy to see everything that you've done, knowing you for over, 3 years now, seeing how it's evolved and seeing, the amount of knowledge you've had before and now how it's developed into this now. I mean, what do you think, like, overall, as far as what it's going to take for, kind of in conclusion, what it's going to take for BlueReciept to be the best and to continue on the amazing path that's going down right now? What do you think your main goals are and kind of just an overall, view and scope of the business? The number one thing is, can we match the current competitors in the landscape? Because we know these are working. Yeah. So can we match it and be at the brand that you go to first? So if you're a new entrepreneur, we're not trying to get people to switch over from these platforms because these platforms have already established their base. It's much harder to just like swap everything over. What we're trying to do is get the new wave of entrepreneurs. If this becomes if you go on BlueReciept first, and then someone's like, PostScript is a little cheaper. Yeah. If you look, you won't make the switch. Yeah. So we want to put ourselves in a position where you never make the switch. That's number one. After you never make the switch, we want to layer in faster and faster features that are revenue producing. Every feature we do has to be revenue producing, meaning that you can quickly set it up and it can produce you incremental revenue on your existing store. Yeah. And the third way we close the gap is, how do we make sure that we consolidate all your auxiliary platforms your Facebook conversations, your Instagram conversations, your email conversations, your WhatsApp conversations into one, in your live chat conversations into one place. Once we have that, you tend to never switch your help desk. You tend to almost, you tend to not switch your help desk because it's too much work to teach your VAs to do a whole new system, put in all your additional things, maybe some additional, some tickets get out of the way. And then the fourth step is close the loop where we don't even need Shopify.
Yeah.
Where we can do we can do your page, we can do your automations, we can do your conversations, and we close the loop. Because the easiest part, in my opinion, is going to be the website builders.
Yeah.
Those are going to become more and more commodities. People are only willing to pay $20-$30 a month for a website builder.
Yeah.
They're not paying $2,000-$4,000 for a website builder.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they're not.
Yeah.
Okay. So why would I allocate my time there and know that's going to be solved? Where I'm allocating my time is whoever holds the conversation wins.
Yeah.
The reason why Facebook is so powerful is because they own the communication channels.
Yep.
They own the communication channels, so now they can layer in payments easily.
Yeah.
Like they're doing it with WhatsApp.
Yeah.
They're going to do it with Instagram. They're going to do it with Facebook. And I want to own a different conversation. I want to own the omni-channel conversation.
For sure.
Where if you're a brand, you're not just operating on Facebook. You want to have an omni-channel approach. I want to be the person that consolidates all of those. So, and then we'll have our own Blue Chat. That's our one part of this prism.
Yeah.
But to be successful, we need to put ourselves in position where the initial product is able to sustain this trajectory that I'm projecting the whole market is going to do.
Yeah.
It's like I'm making a prediction that the market is going to do these couple things, and here is how we execute these couple things. So one, I have to be right on my prediction about what the market's going to do and what entrepreneurs need. And two, I have to provide the best product and team to be able to solve these problems that I know are going to come along the way, but that we don't know exactly maybe perfectly how to solve yet.
Yeah.
Like Elon 15 years ago didn't know how to do mass production of the Model 3.
Yeah.
Like he didn't know these, but he knew he needed to do that.
Yeah.
And he built his way to be able to do that when it came time. And by far, more than anything, establish credibility with great VCs.
Yeah.
That will establish your credibility to get the best talent.
Yeah.
No matter if I'm the best coach and I have middle schoolers and the other team has LeBron James and Steph Curry, they don't need a coach, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have the best players, and to have the best players, they're going to cost more times than not the most money.
Yeah, of course.
Or not. Maybe there's a plateau of money, but they're going to be wanting to be put in a position where they're betting on the right horse.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Why do people want to go to Tesla? They're betting on the right horse.
Exactly.
We have to be that.
Exactly. And you're the jockey behind it all. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. I'm trying to set up a system where, like almost like an architect, where you're pulling all these things that you need together in a bucket and then like mixing it.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting.
Definitely. No, yeah, I'm super excited. I think, this is kind of like the first initial launch of your personal brand coming into software, showing behind the scenes of what you've been working on for 2-3 years now. And I'm excited to be a part of it, to be able to show you guys, more behind the scenes of George. Obviously, you can follow him. It's George Blue 94 on Instagram, correct? Your YouTube is going to be, you figured
just
out
my name, just George Stoitzev, I think.
Okay, George Stoitzev. I'll put that all in the description below so you guys know exactly where to find George. We're going to be working on a lot of content, probably going to be linking up with other people in the e-commerce space this weekend too, so expect some more videos on all the channels, and definitely go subscribe to George. He is the most knowledgeable guy I know in all of online marketing and software. So super excited. Thank you guys very, very much for joining us. Of course, you can follow me at Sulkar_media on Instagram, and I'll put all the other links in the description below. So once again, guys, thank you so very much. Thanks for George for being on, and I'm excited for the rest of 2021. See you guys soon.
See ya.